Van Glorious, Vanguard.
Knowledge born.
Yeah.
United Front. What you want, what you want, what you want.
To the Knowledge Radio.
We in here. What you got? Dot.
Work hard as a slave to one day be your savior. The wave unwavering. This is a labor of love. Rise with a purpose every day. Invigorated. If we were on TV, we'd be 10 times syndicated. If we waited for validation, a paycheck or accolades, we'd be starved, already lost or ran away. But when you're square solid and you circle too, you don't need a place for silence. The concept is conquered through media, not areas of people activity. A mix that don't lose ethnicity, tightness that don't lose elasticity. Explicitly, this isn't where we give the novice regard. Nah, this is where knowledge is born. Last time that I checked, I'm undefeated. Deliver edicts, can't resist when the gods build and manifest freedom. When lines get crossed, they may push a loss, cause they get handed a check. We kick your can and cancel your cancerous gestures. A prophet vision, precision, the prescription for the sickness is to inoculate your fate with the winning. Arrogant beginnings turn to humble endings. And UF with KBA is a win-win. 1K, 1K.
All right, we live. We got some amazing things right here, right now. You understand what I'm saying? So I had to take a moment to take this in. We done took Brooklyn all the way from its height to its epicenter today. You understand? So we was on with General Steele, and you know he kept asking resoundingly where Brooklyn at. So Brooklyn is in the house tonight. You understand what I'm saying? I tucked my chain in, and then when the intro started, I just took my shit off. You know what I'm saying? Because we see what happened to Red and Friday when he tucked his chain in. You understand what I'm saying? I just took it off and put it on the floor because we have two icons. You understand? Two icons that's in the building here right now. We got the Crooklyn Dodgers. You understand? Like, I know we heard of the Brooklyn Dodgers, but ain't too many of us heard of the Crooklyn Dodgers, man. We got the Crooklyn Dodgers. We got Organized Konfusion. We got the Juice Crew. We got hip-hop alums who did not allow a time and space to date them. Two very transformative MCs who came up in a time and transcended the time and became more and more relevant over time. They still got the hunger, still got the passion, and still got the insight. So without any further ado, it becomes my honor and privilege at this time to introduce some presenters and welcome back to Do the Knowledge Radio Hip Hop Legends Podcast with my brother Bop Killer, aka Killer, as named by Capone from Capone Noriega, right here on this station. Let's give it up and give a warm Do Knowledge Radio welcome to Masta Ace.
What up? What's going on?
We clap this up, man.
Appreciate the intro.
The man, legend over here.
Yes. We appreciate you. And Brooklyn's own, the other Crooklyn Dodger in the building. Oh, see.
Show.
Oh, what up, Mo?
What's going on, fellas? What's going on, man?
Fam in the building.
What's up, Mo?
Got a reunion,
chilling, man. I had to get off the phone on the iPad. This was like I was going to right on the phone. Yeah, I'm here.
We celebrating hip hop, and we really wanted the legacy of Brooklyn to be told by Brooklyn. You know, you could have got some snot nose who walked around with a pad and a pen, about 17 years old, curating an experience with no kind of sights and sounds. You know, because Brooklyn don't look like Brooklyn no more. You understand what I'm saying? So the sights and the sounds and the heartbeat of it came from its pugilist, lyrical pugilist, and physical pugilist. You know, Brooklyn, Medina got an aggressive stance. You understand what I'm saying? Like, Manhattan keep on making it, Brooklyn keep on taking it. You understand? So it's a different kind of thing. So the hunger is different. So I wanted to take and carve out the space to hear from the ones who walked and carved out a lane for people to come after them. So many minds to be able to pick up a pen and transform the aggressive street to an aggressive pen. You know, so definitely want to take some time and hear from the greats. So where Brooklyn at? You know, where Brooklyn at?
Yo, before we get too far off
I
into
come
the
behind Ace. You know, Ace was out before me. Yeah, so you know, I was looking at his path and other cats that was, you know, Kane, of course, quite a few other people, but these are my paths to seeing what's going on and what's happening and who's in Brooklyn, and you know, he's before me, so I'm like, you know, I'm right behind him. You understand, if that makes any kind of sense? Like, you know, whatever, everybody carved out their own niche as far as who they are, what they represent. But you know, these are the guys I had to look up to and I can actually relate to because they're my age, so to speak, and watch what's going on. Because people was like, is he from Brooklyn? Is he from Queens? I'm from Brooklyn. I'm from Bushwick, Brooklyn. Home from Evergreen and Central. And you know, I moved out to Jamaica, Queens later on, but Ace is my blueprint.
That's crazy. Oh, I used to be over there. My DJ Steady Pace, his grandmother lived on Decatur between Evergreen and Central. So I used to be over there a lot. There was this game room right on Decatur, and between Evergreen and Central, I used to be over there a lot. In the early years, this is before records. This is way back.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right. And another thing people don't understand is the J Train separated Bushwick and Bed-Stuy. So we was linked. All you had to do was cross the tracks.
right.
Yeah, and that J would take you into Jamaica as well. You know, that E or that J, you know. Yeah, so that was
I used to
nice
hate
right
the
there.
J Train. J Train was never coming. Never. That shit was never coming. Wait forever for the J Train. If you just miss one, forget it.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yo, so Masta Ace,
waiting for
before we get too far into this, as soon as the flyer went up for the show, my homeboy hit me up. He was like, yo, you gotta tell Masta Ace. I said, what's up? He's my favorite MC of all time. And Take a Look Around was the first tape he's ever owned. That's my homeboy Marquis. He wanted me to express that, you know what I'm saying, to you and everything.
Shout out to Marquis. Shout out to Marquis. He goes all the way back.
How prophetic is Take a Look Around?
Yeah, I mean, it's as prophetic as the American culture, because the same stuff we've been marching about in the 60s, we still marching about. So it might seem like, you know, I was prophetic in what I was saying, but if you look at history, like, really not a lot has changed. It's the same issues that we've been having as Black people. So it you could say you could probably talk about it now, and 20 years from now still be prophetic.
Definitely. So the authentic sound, like how do y'all feel about being, I don't know if I want to use the word responsible, but ushering in a sound that's Brooklyn? You know, every borough has their sound. So when it comes to this art form, y'all pushing a sound or creating a sound Did y'all know it, or just looking back in hindsight, did y'all both know that y'all were going to be so instrumental or crafting a BK sound?
I mean, for me, I didn't really
I
look at
don't
it
know
as
what
a
a BK
BK sound.
sound like.
Right,
Yo,
same here.
Yeah.
like if y'all look at the offspring of the people who came after, then you see it's like there's a way, because both of y'all have versatile flows and they're very lyric heavy, and it's aggressive to an aggressive ear, like you can hear it. You see what I'm saying? So if you hear MOP after, if you hear Smooth the Hustler, Trigger the Gambler, if you hear like, you know, everybody who came from Brownsville, like the whole boot camp clique, everybody, the people who came after, it's a sound that's in the air that continues to go. You see what I'm saying? So it's it's versatile. It's not one dimensional, but it's aggressive. You see what I'm saying? It's aggressive. It's story, like the sights and the sounds you hear. You can smell the pissy hallway in the lyrics. You know what I'm saying? This is how close you brought people to where you are. So y'all may not, consider it this sound, but this is the sound of everybody that's on the outside looking in. Y'all brought it as close as possible to it. You know what I'm saying? Without having to get robbed. You understand what I'm saying? Because like it's times in the music in the era, and then there's
Well, I
situations.
think
Go ahead. Oh.
I think you had Brooklyn was known for having different kind of looks from my
Mm.
perspective, as far as like how we dressed. The Queens in 84, 85, and my first day of school in Queens, and I wore an Izard suit. Them dudes in Jamaica was wearing they were wearing cohorts and stuff like that. We wasn't doing that. Like we just had a different style. So people would look at me like, what's that? And what he got on or how he got it put together, as opposed to everybody in Queens wore sweatsuits, cohorts, and the jail suits. A lot of my dudes, my old uh family members, my cousin Vanderveer, Foster Park and all that, they wore, they're older than me, but they wore like straddle coats and tailor-made pants with the tailor-made pockets, and they just dress different than other boroughs. That's just New York, man. Like, but I know you can tell a Brooklyn dude, we just had different type of style. If you look at his hat and take a look around, that's shade all right there. Like, dudes from Brooklyn just got a different flavor, all in all. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, my thing was taking watching a bit and piece of everybody. I didn't, so to speak, dress like Kane, but I took some bits and pieces from Kane. I took some bits and pieces from Ace. I took some bits and pieces from other cats out there too. But we just had our style all our own anyway. But as far as the sound, um, I never studied that. I just looked at it as everybody had their particular way of doing what they did when it came to making music, and that's what made everybody unique.
The aggressiveness comes from the culture, the neighborhood. It's baked into you because when you're raised in that environment, you're kind of forced to be aggressive, because if you live in Brooklyn and you're not aggressive, people take that as weakness, and they step to you and try you. And so it was always important to put in your voice, in your demeanor, in your facial expressions, don't try me, try somebody else, don't try me. And so that some of that aggressiveness that you're talking about kind of what we had to adopt as trying to. That's just part of survival in BK. You know, that's how you survive. You survive by making sure that you let others around you that were looking at you know that you wasn't the one. And so that's what comes out in the music, I think.
I won't say anything about the Brooklyn sound, but just musically in hip hop right now, New York don't sound like New York. Even the West Coast don't sound like the West Coast. The Midwest don't sound like the Midwest anymore. Everything is all the same. How do the two of you feel about how everything is more one style, kind of almost like a blueprint laid out? This is what the beat is supposed to sound like. The rapper's supposed to be on double time or a triplet flow. And everybody, no matter where you are, this is the program.
I'll let O go first.
Hey, this is the music business, man. It's a part of the program. I always tell people rap is still young, man. I'm older than rap. I'm 50 years old. They just celebrated 48 years or 48 year anniversary or something like that. Rap is still through transformations, man. But you know, I was young at one time. We all was young and at that age, and I mean, I think we was a lot more versatile and stuff like that as opposed to today. But I don't even know how to answer that, man, because I can't foresee where this is gonna go in the next 5 to 10 years. I know right now is, you know, it is a blueprint. It's, you know, everybody's, I don't know who's who, you know, when it comes to, you know, computer, some zap shit, like, I don't know who's who, you know, but at the end of the day, it has to take a turn for the better or the worse. Who knows? I can't tell you what it's gonna be like in the next 10 years. It's just what it is today. This is what they doing.
What I'll say about that, Killer, is the young people that are coming up now, and I'll even go back even a decade or so. The young people in New York City, in particular, they are guided by what they hear on the radio. They only know what is being played on the radio, commercial radio. They look at that music as, oh, this is what's hot. And so when you say New York doesn't sound like New York, that's because New York radio doesn't sound like New York radio. The DJs that are in position to sort of, you know, dictate what young people hear, they started to play like when Little John and them started, you know, making noise in the early 2000s, and that stuff started taking over in the clubs. The New York DJs, the radio DJs, started to play more Southern music, and that's what they said was popping off in the clubs. The New York tempo was maybe a lot of it was a little slower, a little more boom bap vibe, and it maybe wasn't getting people dancing. So you started to see the radio sort of chase that sound. And so what happens is essentially labels tell their artists, yo, I need that. That's what's selling. That's what's moving. I need that. So now you got artists in the studio trying to make what the label's telling them to make, or artists listening to the radio and saying, oh, I want to hit too, so I'm going to make a joint like that. So now you fast forward 2 decades, the new movement is the drill sound. The drill from Chicago. That's a Chicago sound, drill music, right? So New York DJs jumped on that, started playing all this drill music from Chicago. The young people of that generation hear that on the radio only, and they're like, oh, that's that. I need to make joints like that. So now you got all the young dudes from Brooklyn, from Queens. They trying to make joints that sound like that. And so it gives birth to the Pop Smokes and other artists like that. That's what they were raised on. They were raised on what they heard on the radio. And so that's why you get these different artists making sounds that might not sound like traditional New York music, but if an 18, 19-year-old doesn't know what traditional New York music sound like because he doesn't hear it, how else can he emulate it? He only gonna emulate what he hears.
Right.
Knowledge, you got something?
Yeah. And
18-year-old, just
to the day
this.
too. Music. The music is. I mean, I have family members that still ask me, "Am I making records?" This is how so many people, how many out of touch people are with what's going on with traditional hip hop, and it's just like, man, I'm an iron worker. What the fuck you want me to like? You know, it's going a direction that we can't even understand right now, but it's still here. Got to work the kinks out of it, and it's like Ace said, man. Whatever's going on the radio is what dictates what people listen to, and this shit is so deeper than commercial radio. It's about ads, it's about money, it's a lot of things. But can on what we do.
Yeah, I was just thinking about giving context to the statement. 18-year-old guy or girl was born in 2003.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? They
No,
were born in
no, not 2003.
Yeah.
You said 18. Okay, yeah, because my daughter was born in 05. Yeah, that makes sense. She's 16.
Yeah.
I mean, she's born in 04. I'm sorry. My daughter's 16.
Just even
born in
thinking
04.
about that. Yeah, 18 years old. My daughter was born in 2002. My oldest daughter, she was born in 2002. So this is what they were born into.
Yeah.
That they got like a 20-year time span window that they in.
Yeah.
Music that was out in 2003. So just thinking about the emergence of the snap era, resurgence of that in that time frame, Laffy Taffy and White Tee and all of that. So that transformation of hip hop party records made a resurgence in that time from 99 into. And then there's another period where you posit Long Hot Summer and hip hop takes a shift back into lyricism ever so quietly. So if you look at 03, 04, up to like 07, 08, maybe into 2009, there's a resurgence of a feel that's reminiscent of a boom bap era, where there's an emphasis placed on lyrics, but kind of overshadowed with the party momentum. So do y'all think hip hop kind of goes in cycles in regards to how it started? It started off party like, and then it got into serious, and then it got gangster, then it got party, then it got druggy. You understand? Like, so it's going through a bunch of cycles in there. And the additional question is, how do you navigate what to put out when? Does the game dictate, or do you always dictate what you put out when you put out?
I'll be honest with you. I don't pay attention to nothing anybody else is doing. I don't pay attention to what's happening on the radio. I'm purely making music that feels good and sounds good to me. And for those fans that mess with that, then it's for them. I'm not. My goal is not to be getting spins on Power 105 or Hot 97. That time has passed for me. Now it's about making music that feels good to me, that's honest, that's true to who I am. And for those fans out there that want that music, it's available to purchase.
Yeah, man, I don't even think about no radio, man. Radio what? I've been eating without radio and doing shows and putting out music for shit for 30 years. Without radio, like, you know, I don't even care about radio at this point. You
At
know,
this
it
point,
is. It's a vibe when you make music, and you know, I always tell people, I mean, mhm.
so
I always tell people I made more money not thinking about that. When I started thinking about getting a check, it was all downhill from there.
mm. Now, why do you say that? Because you weren't prepared to have that check, or it just came with bad situations?
Doing it for love at the moment. When you get into a game where you have utmost love and admiration for what you this can taint you, you know. And like I said, you know, I was happy not making any money before I was on because it was pure. You understand? And after the sign first record contract, it was just a different thing. It was, you know, asked to produce. You was asked, and I knew I wasn't gonna be in the mix of listening to high. You know what I'm saying? And it goes back to what Ace is saying. They not trying to hear you say, "Yo, we making I want to make a feel good record, or I want to make this kind of record." They're gonna try to dictate what you do, and you know that's why, like I said, to me, guys like me, guys like Ace, guys, it's a lot of people still around and making music and still touring and doing shebang like that radio.
That's definitely something I wanted to talk about, but I just wanted to add in real quick because before we started, I told you, you know, every summer we go through, you know, long hot summer. So you gave us long hot summer uh, in 2004, and I was in war at the time,
You
in the
were in
middle of
war.
Baghdad.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah. I was in Baghdad. So your album and Master Killer's album came out around the same time in '04. So your album
Wow.
and Master Killer's album uh, and a few other albums got us through like one of the most tumultuous times of war you could possibly think of. You know, we had to use music to keep our minds out of the most demented and tormented places from what we had to do in order to come back home.
Right.
So the music was there as a place, even though it had the grit in the heartbeat in it, it still was a place to keep us out of the hellish state of condition of our mind. So when
It
we
was an
wanted,
escape.
yes, yes, and it was so pertinent to kind of hear. You see what I'm saying? So Long Hot Summer, this story, this whole story that you told, you know, this movie that we got to hear audibly in
Right.
our head was, you know, something to guide the steps. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, one of my brothers that's listening by the name of Chris, he gave me the album and I gave him Master Killer's album. You see what I'm saying? So we back and forth with the joints. You see what I'm saying? With the
That's
CD.
dope.
You know, we bought the CDs now. We ain't bootlegging shit to be. You understand what I'm saying? Like we bought the CDs. You see what I'm saying? And we exchanged and then we compared notes and then we went back into hip hop, you know, lexicon, you know, to kind of go through that and teach the young brothers and sisters, what they missed because they weren't around for Born to Roll. You see what I'm saying? Like,
So wait,
they wasn't around for Time's Up. You know, these people were young, so they didn't get that.
They
Go ahead.
sold hip hop music at the military store there.
Yeah.
Wow, never knew that.
Oh yeah. If I had broke out the CD collection, that was the only way for us to communicate. You see what I'm saying? Like, I got a crazy Mobb Deep story. I think I told you, Killer, when Infamy came out.
Yeah.
I literally snatched that shit out of somebody's hand. It was the last copy. I snatched that shit out of his hand and like what? Like and walked and paid for this shit and walked
That's
out.
crazy.
You know what I'm saying? Like there was no way in the world I wasn't about to wait another week or 2 weeks or whatever. We was overseas too now. So yeah. So that kind of leads into like traveling overseas. I know both of y'all been overseas, you know, touring and the sights and the sounds of those places overseas. So in comparison to what you might have seen in the States, how has travel impacted, you know, your perspective as an artist and as a man?
Well, I'm gonna tell you straight up, Europe and other continents like Australia have been the way that I've eaten for the last 20 years. The
Really?
audiences in those places, because they're consistent audiences. There's cities in Europe that I've been to 6 times, 7 times, 8 times in the last 20 years, and the club is still packed every time we come back. And it's just a different experience when you're traveling abroad, because the appreciation is different. It's a heightened appreciation. They're happy that you came, that you got on a plane and flew out there. They love the music. They know the words to the songs, and you know, if you're there to put on the show, they are there to enjoy a great show. So it's definitely been a great experience. If I had to live, if all I lived on was US shows, I would have been done. I'd have been done 10 to 15 years ago. Straight up.
I think OC froze up. Yo, so why is it that, because I've heard that from a lot of MCs over the years, that Europe, I can go over there all the time and make a couple dollars. But in America, when you become an MC that has a certain amount of years in, you get forgotten about everything. So why do you think that here at home you get kind of forgotten about, but overseas you're a legend forever almost?
I'm gonna tell you the reason. It's because the United States market is dictated by the radio in general, not to a person, but people in the States, especially from the Black community, they think that if it's not on the radio, it doesn't exist. Like, they literally believe that. Like, I run into people all the time, and they're like, "Oh man, I loved your first album. When you gonna put something else out?" Like, they literally don't know that I've been dropping records for the last 20 years. They have no clue, because it's not on the radio. So if it's not on the radio, it doesn't exist in a lot of people's minds. More so the Black community than anything, because the white fans, they know, they find it, they buy it, they support it, they come to the shows. But my community, it's like, I ain't, they not playing that ain't hot. They not playing that. And so sometimes they'll come out to a show not knowing and hear songs and go, "Oh, I like that song, man, that's nice. Oh, that came out 7 years ago. For real? Oh, I never heard that before." They literally don't know, man. They literally don't know. So that's where the disconnect is. But in Europe, they tell their friends. It's word of mouth. And you know, the interesting thing about the European market is those records that I dropped, the Disposable Arts in '01, Long Hot Summer in '04, the EMC projects, all those records, when they dropped, there was a new generation of 18 and 19-year-olds that didn't know who I was before those records dropped, that all of a sudden started to follow me. And so now when I go back over there, I got people that's 30, like, oh man, I remember when you first came to my city, I was too
Right.
young to get into the club, but I really wanted to see you. And now I'm 30 and I'm married and I can finally see you perform. Um, so that's important. You know, the music that you drop, if it impacts a younger generation, that means that you as an artist are gonna almost automatically have longevity, because that next group of high school age kids is gonna grow up with your music and go forward with you. So that's where it's been fortunate for me. I've had uh, you know, 2 decades of people that hear the music at 17, at 18, fall in love with it, and then follow my career forward. And so there's you go over all the records that I've dropped, new generations of young people hearing the music and then following it, and then going back and hearing the old stuff and falling in love with that too.
Mm, mm.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. And I know you mentioned that a few times. And just knowing from my personal time overseas, I spent about 10 years altogether, not counting the war
Well,
situations, but 10 years over altogether overseas. I know that music lives forever over
Yeah,
there. It
yeah,
doesn't die, whether people can speak English or not. I know from many of the people that I met, hip hop was a way for them to learn English. Like they learn English listening to your music. And the DJs that are over there, one of my DJ brothers, he went over there in like '92, and he's been DJing since '92 over there. So he was breaking records over there, and then doing the cohesive, you know, responsible DJ thing with the records from then till now. You see what
so
I'm saying? So
he moved from the States to Europe.
yeah, yeah. In like
mm,
92, 91.
Okay.
Uh, and he been over there ever since. You see what I'm saying? Like he lives, like he got a whole life over there, children, all of that, and he's a DJ, producer, things like that. And
Was
he
he in the
found it.
military?
Nah,
No.
he just moved overseas. So that's just like a lot of our interaction. I was in the military, and many of us, like when they done with the military, they just stay over there. Like
Yeah.
he he moved over there, and that was his niche. He found a way to live over there off of his art form, because that art form and his authenticity and his ear, all of those things matter too.
Yeah.
So people know about people, and then your interactions when you go over there. Like I'm sure you had the time of your life, but there aren't a lot. There aren't all artists don't have the time of their life over there.
Right.
Some people were in precarious positions because of who they were, not
Right.
necessarily that crowd. So whether you in Holland, whether you in the Netherlands, whether you in the Czech Republic, all of those things, Russia, any of those places is you. It's you.
Yeah.
So if you are on some other shit, you're gonna be on some other shit no matter where you go. You see what I'm saying? So them interactions over there, music is timeless. BB King toured overseas until he transitioned.
Right.
Steady rotation. You see what I'm saying? Steady rotation. You can just go down the list of artists who got to live from going overseas. That overseas
Uh,
interaction, and these young children, like you said, they grow up and they have children, and their children. Like I'm in the club at 4 o'clock in the morning. Crisscross come on. The whole club erupt like that shit's brand new. You understand what I'm saying?
right.
Like
Right.
everybody's jumping up and down. Like nobody's too cool. None of that. They're like Crisscross and make you. You understand? It don't matter where I've been. When that came on, that was like one of those things. It's like boom, boom. Everybody remember. I had a breakdance battle in the club. Like some young Turkish cats was like, I'm like, nah, y'all doing too much out here. Me and my brother had to get down on the dance floor. Like, nah, man. We was hurting after, but I was like, nah, these young Turks ain't about to get us like that. You understand what I'm saying? So
Right.
it was beautiful. That normally situations where it's tumultuous, like, they fight, but hip hop became like a grand unifier because of how it was introduced and how it's maintained overseas. So music as a whole, whether it was rock, whether it was pop, whatever it was, how it was introduced, and it stayed that way. So it carved out a lane for artists and creatives to be able to live, if they make the right connections and they're able to do it. So
Without a doubt.
So being somebody that comes from a legendary crew, collective, whatever you want to call it, and then having to step out on your own as a solo MC, what is that transition like? Because it's having a song on somebody else's album, a solo song or something, or having a 16 on a song with 3-4 other people, that's one thing. But stepping in the shoes of now, this is your project, you're going to be the star. What is it like going from doing something like the symphony to take a look around? Now it's you.
Well, that's all. That was the end game for me. That's what I was trying to get to. To just get that first record. I wanted the chance to get my own album. The symphony was for me was very short lived. We did the song in '88, shot the video. The song actually came out in more like early '89 with the video and everything. And my album was like a year later in '90. So that's what I was working towards anyway. I was working towards my own album coming out. So it wasn't like I was this established, crew member that was now branching out. Like we were never a group.
Right.
It was a song, but we weren't. It wasn't like we were a group. And then I was like, oh, I'm going solo. Everybody in on the song was a solo artist.
Right.
With maybe the exception of G-Rap, because him and Polo were like a group, but we were all solo artists. So all I knew was that, Kane dropped the album, Biz dropped the album, Shan dropped albums. I want to drop an album, and that was my mindset. I want to finally show what I can do, because it was really more of a show and prove thing than anything, because people heard the symphony and they had a view of me, and they had, that song was the only song they really knew to compare me to. So now it was time for me to finally drop my own stuff so people could get a full taste of what I was about.
Now, going from take a look around to some people.
Go ahead.
Some people will say they know you from Born to Roll. They don't always connect the dots. They don't understand the history to a certain degree, but that was the introduction to a lot of people. Does that irritate you sometimes, or do you understand that?
I appreciate the fact that whenever somebody finally discovered me as an artist, whenever that time period was, because I know that my career has a lot of phases, and so there's people that discovered me on the first album, but there's people when Born to Roll dropped and it blew up on the West Coast and the Midwest and the South. Most of the people in those markets had never heard of me before. They had never heard, and I was already 2 albums deep plus the symphony.
Right.
And so, that's just what it was. I don't get mad at that. I understand that people discover artists and discover music at different times in their lives. They just might not have been really paying attention. They might not have been that connected to the music and to the culture to know who I was. And so I don't hold that against anybody. Whenever they do finally discover me, as long as they like what they hear, I'm happy with that.
Right. So on the production side, like, because you've gotten to that over the years, like, is that something you set out to do early on in your career, or was that just something you picked up along the line?
Production sort of came out of necessity. My first album, I was the first artist that Marl gave co-production credit to on their album. Although Biz Markie, Big Daddy Kane, they all, pretty much everybody in the crew was co-producing their records, but Marley was the only one getting credit. And so that kind of caused a little tension with Marley and some of the other artists. So when it was my time, and you know, to this day, I don't know if they ever actually asked for it. I think they just assumed it was going to happen. The difference is, because I'm listening to the stories from other people, and they're saying, yeah, Marley just took all the credit, this and that. So when it was time for my record for the credits to be written, I said to Marley, I think I should get co-production on this album.
Okay.
Because you know, I would say probably half of the beats on the album were music that I brought to either I brought to his house because I wanted to rap over it from records that my mother had. A lot of records were records I brought right to his house. Yo, I want to rap over this. I didn't know how to make a beat. I didn't know how to work the machine, the beat machine. So it was a collaborative effort. It was, yo, I want to rap over this. You know, loop this piece right here. This is what I want to rap over. He loop it and then he put his drums on it. So there was a lot of records like that. Probably half the album was like that. And I think from what I hear from the other artists, it was the same thing. You know, they were bringing records up there, but they didn't know how to really work the equipment. So they relied on Marley to hook everything up. And so I got co-production. And once I was off of Coachella and off of that label, and I was on my own, I signed a new deal with Delicious Vinyl Records. And they're signing me not even knowing. They knew I could rap, but they didn't know what the plan was to actually make the records. And so I just basically took the reins because there was no more Marley, nobody to default to. I had other young up-and-coming producers around me. A lot of those guys brought beats to the table. And I basically just kind of orchestrated the production of the record. You know, guys would play me drums, or those drums would hold those drums. I'm gonna use that for something. Another guy had a dope loop. Oh, I like that loop. It just need a horn. Let me find a horn real quick. And so my second album, SlaughtaHouse, was like it was probably made very similar to from what I hear anyway, The Chronic, Dr. Dre's album. You know, he oversaw the whole thing, but it was, you know, a collaborative effort of a bunch of different creative people in the room. Everybody's adding their 2 cents. You know, yo, you should use this little piece right here. And that's how the record was made. And so from that point forward, I said I got to get me some equipment, and I got to learn how to work this equipment. Me and DJ Premier were living like very close to each other, walking distance. And so I hit him up and I was like, yo, what do you use? And that's what I'm going to buy. He told me what he used, and that's what I bought. And as soon as the equipment came, I went to his house. I had a pen and a pad. I said, tell me what to do. And he showed me step by step how to sample, how to get a sample in the machine, how to get it triggered on the MPC. And I wrote every step down. He's like, you got it? I said, I think I got it. And I left his crib. I went home and I immediately started making beats.
Now, how long did it take you to get those notes all the way down? Because it's one thing writing it down and seeing somebody else doing it, but actually putting it into motion.
It was pretty fast, man. I mean, in terms of like making my first couple of beats, it was pretty fast. They weren't beats that necessarily, the first few beats, obviously, I didn't use them on anything or whatever, but I was right away making, you know, they were like amateuristic, you know, just kind of a drum loop and a sample. I mean, a loop and then some drums, and they were super simple at first, and then as time went on, I just started to learn more and more and more. And by the time I got to, like, I co-produced a bunch of stuff on my SlaughtaHouse album, but by the time I got to the Sittin On Chrome album, I produced probably 3/4 of that album.
Wow.
By myself. All the singles, INC Ride, Sittin On Chromes, Born to Roll, those are all my joints. I produce those joints.
So what made you take Jeep Ass Nigga and turn that into Born to Roll? I know it's a remix, but what made you want to remix that?
Right. So I was in North Carolina in a record store we were doing an in-store at this record store, and they had a 99-cent bin, and I was going through the 99-cent bin, just kind of like lightweight beat digging, and I saw the Burgundy Def Jam cover. I was like, oh, what's this? And I looked at it and I saw the title Knowledge Me, and I was like, I remember this joint. And right away, I remember the joint. I remember how the beat went, and right away I said to myself, this one of them beats that they be liking on the West Coast. I bet if I did something with this, I bet it would pop someplace else. So I bought it for 99 cents, took it home, looped it. Didn't know what I was even going to do with it because the album was already done, because it was off SlaughtaHouse. And then I said, you know what? Let me try these Jeep Ass Nigga lyrics to this. So I tried it. I spit the lyrics to it. I was like, it sounds kind of cool. All right, I didn't even tell the label I was doing it. They didn't know. They had no clue. When we had the next marketing meeting about the next single, which was going to be SlaughtaHouse, I played at the meeting this remix for Jeep Ass Nigga. And I remember the president, Michael Ross, he's like, why are we doing Jeep Ass remixes? Like, we're off that single. We're done with that. And I was like, yo, can we just throw it on the B-side? And they fought me on it but I really like put my foot down, and I was like, nah, man, this is going on that single. I don't care. And finally they gave in. My manager was definitely there fighting with me too. It was just something. I just had a feeling, it sounded like something. And so they agreed to throw it on the B-side, the last cut on the B-side of SlaughtaHouse. And as soon as they serviced the record to DJs around the country, immediately DJs in the Bay Area turned it over and started playing Born to Roll. And they called the label like, yo, what's this? What is this song? What, yo? And it was in rotation in like a week because they played it on the radio. They played it on like Make It or Break It, one of them kind of joints. And it won like 3 weeks in a row, 4 weeks in a row, 5 weeks in a row. And they're like, yo, we gotta add it. And they added it. And it got added in San Francisco first. Then it got added in Dallas and Houston. Then it got added in LA. And before you knew it, and then now the label's like, oh, we gotta shoot a video.
Oh, but you didn't want to do it before.
Right. Now y'all want to do a video. And so I back out to LA. We ended up shooting a video at the car show. Documentary style video where we just kind of like out there just stealing shots. Like we had no permit, nothing. We just out there with a camera, just
right.
And we shot. The performances had to be low key because there were security guards there. You weren't supposed to be filming on the grounds. So if you see me like performing, walking, I'm not even mouthing my lips like that much because I don't want the security to know that we're actually doing a video. But we got a shot. And when the video dropped, that was it. Like it took off crazy. Like and like I said, it was just one of those things. I just had a feeling about that beat. I thought that beat could work in other markets, and it just worked out that way.
Definitely. Because I've heard you say before, like West Coast music, especially early on, was a take on early New York hip hop. That kind of 808, 909 sound.
Nah, not West Coast. South, Florida.
The South. Yeah.
Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
That whole movement, that whole Luke Skywalker movement was based on one song, Planet Rock.
There you go.
They basically took Planet Rock and just made 10 songs off of. I mean, I'm exaggerating. It wasn't that, but almost every song coming out of the South was some version of Planet Rock.
But yeah, when Born to Roll came out, I remember a lot of people thought it was a West Coast song. I didn't grow up in a hip hop house. My aunt's house was a hip hop house.
Okay.
So when it dropped, I'm like, yo, I thought it was a Midwest song. I'm not gonna lie. MC Breed was around at that time. I'm like, yo, and I'm from Cleveland, so I'm like, yo, we got one.
Right.
We got one. And then it's like, nah, son's from Brooklyn.
And the funny thing about it is that the original song, that beat, is a Def Jam record. They're from New York.
Right.
They're from New York. Like it's not like I listened to Dr. Dre Chronic and then tried to make beats that sound like that. It was on Def Jam. Russell Simmons, Def Jam. I took a Def Jam record and rapped over it because it was just an instrument. They didn't even rap. They talked over it. They didn't even rap over it. The song Knowledge Me is not even a rap song. It's just talking. They just talking a bunch of stuff and the beat is just playing over and over again. And I was like, yo, they wasted that beat. Let me rhyme over that. And boom. There we go.
Yo, Knowledge, my bad. I didn't mean to take over. I know.
No. Let me tell you something. When Ace get to talking right there, the storyteller comes alive and you hear shit you'll never hear. You see what I'm saying? Like, you know, I told him, I think the last time you was here, Ace, I told you the first song I ever did, the Running Man 2, you understand what I'm saying? Was the symphony. So it was like, all right, so boom.
Really?
And then you gave us the symphony story. You see what I'm saying? Like you gave us some of that. And I was like, oh. But I wanted to ask again about Brooklyn Masala because I think the last time we spoke, you said that was originally for Will Smith.
The lyrics.
The lyrics?
Yeah, the lyrics. Not that beat. Not that beat. But I wrote that around around the time when I was doing some writing for Will. It was 2 songs on that album that were written with him in mind. Brooklyn Masala was one. The other one was Soda and Soap. Yeah, both of those were written for him. He didn't pick them. So I said I'm not letting these songs go to waste. I'm gonna use them for something else.
The vividness and the richness of the story. You see what I'm saying? Like B to the K to the, you know what I'm saying? Like you didn't waste not one iota of space on it. You see what I'm saying? Like I told you where I'm at listening to the album. Shit exploding. Motherfuckers is dying. Can we walk and talk and share our world? You understand what I'm saying? I'm like Brooklyn Masala. Like that the harmony that's there with that cohesive movie. You see what I'm saying? That you gave us on wax. Like it took people places. You know, we really could forget. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You know, with facts like, yo, Ace, where them shots come from? You understand? Like we in that. We like, we really in that right there. You see what I'm saying? So it's like straight up streets, like to hear it. So like it's a range of emotions. Like it's a great roller coaster ride. It's cinematic hip hop. You know,
and I made that album and those skits with, in my mind, it was for people that were going to put headphones on and just zone out and listen to it, because when you hear those skits, you can hear the traffic, you can hear cars driving by with the sound, like it takes you there, like and that's me with my partner Filthy Rich. I gotta big him up because he dealt with me with, you know, all of these sound effects that he had to find. He went and got this crazy sound effects kit, but I'm like, no, we need this. Like, we need this. And, you know, we would film the room. Like, if it was a conversation in the room, we would just film empty room space and put that in the background and make it sound more real. There was a lot of steps to it to make it what it became. And it's just good to know that somebody was able to put the headphones on, zone out, and appreciate the work, because as much work went into the skits as went into the songs.
Yeah, all of it. And even the outtakes at the end,
Yeah, that
it
was
sounds
a cool.
fun. Like it sounds fun. Like what the fuck? What the fuck are you? Like,
Along How Summer was the first album where we did the outtake thing. I just thought it was a cool idea. Actually, I think Rich or my partner DJ Rob, one of them were just like randomly listening to some old takes because they were making fun of something that I did on one of the takes, and they were just laughing. I was like, "Yo, maybe we should just let me hear all the outtakes." And we just started piecing them all together and put music behind them, and boom, and that became a theme. Like we started doing that for all the records.
right.
You know, we did
I
it
was gonna
for
ask that. Yeah.
we did it for a bunch of the records after that.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So being an MC who got started in the 80s, you said Symphony's like 88, but I'm sure you was writing probably a couple years before that.
A
So
bunch
we
of years
talking
before that, yeah, way before that.
before college or
Way before college. I was writing. I started writing rhymes before high school.
so who were the MCs that influenced you? Because you're talking about a super early period in hip hop.
Yeah,
So what
yeah.
were your influences at that time?
The earliest influences that I can remember and point out. I mean, I was listening to everybody coming out of the Bronx. You know, Furious 5, Treacherous 3, all of them. But in terms of like, I listened to them and I enjoyed listening, but it didn't make me change what I was doing. It didn't make me write a different type of way or try a different type of style in what I was already doing. I think Slick Rick was probably the first one when I heard Lottie Dottie.
Right.
Because I felt like I could write a cool story like that and something entertaining like that for the audience. And so I wrote this rhyme that was kind of like based, I won't say based on Lottie Dottie, but it was the same idea of it being about a girl and a a couple of crazy punchlines, a little sexual innuendo, and then a surprise ending. And so that rhyme that I wrote was the rhyme that actually won me this rap contest in Queens. My second year of college, I won this rap contest in Queens, and it was based off of that kind of Lottie Dottie-esque rhyme. And so that's why I have to always mention Slick Rick. After Slick Rick, I probably would say the next dude that I heard that made me change my thinking process or what I was doing was Rakim. Because to me, Rod just sounded way different than everybody else. And everybody was kind of like rhyming in the same kind of voice. And he came with some real laid back voice and almost like talking, which before that, everybody was rhyming real aggressive and
Right.
and so we were all kind of rapping like that. And Rod just kind of showed a different delivery. And then the stuff that he was talking about and the way he was putting the words together was way different than anybody else. And so it just opened my mind up to, oh, you don't have to always just rhyme the last word in every line. You can rhyme, the third word, the fifth word, and the seventh word. So Rakim was the next guy. Let me back up. Before Rakim, it was LL. It was LL. It was Slick Rick, then it was LL. Or maybe it was LL and then Slick Rick. I can't remember which one of them was first. Depends on when I Need a Beat came out. I think LL came out before Slick Rick. Yeah, he did. So it was I Need a Beat LL because he was saying all these big words, and he just made me say, okay, you can put big words in your rhymes. I like that. I'm a good student. I like vocabulary, so I'm gonna start using bigger words. So LL influenced me with the big words. Slick Rick influenced me with the storytelling and the to entertain the audience and the crowd, to make the girls yell and scream with the story and the surprise ending. And then it was Rakim and Kane were the next two guys from a style standpoint, a rap style standpoint. And I started to pay attention to what they were doing and say, okay, I got to be that good. If I'm not that good, then I'm not good enough.
I feel that. I feel that. Now, at one point in time, you were supposed to move to Atlanta as a younger man.
It almost happened. It almost happened. I would have been. I almost did high school in Atlanta. That was the plan. Yep.
If that had happened, do you think you still would have sought music out, or was it being in that environment?
No,
was part of the catalyst.
I would not. I wouldn't have been an artist. I wouldn't have been. I don't think I would have been an artist because you gotta remember I was in college when I entered that rap contest. I wasn't trying to get a record deal. I was trying to get a degree and then get a job after college. The rap contest pushed me towards the industry because first prize was studio time with Marley Marl, 6 hours.
Yeah.
So I walked into Marley's studio as this prize winner to get my 6 hours of studio time. Never thinking that those 6 hours would lead to him kind of taking a liking to what I did and then asking me to be on his album Marley Marl in Control and putting a couple of my demos on there. And then from there, ending up being on the symphony. All of that doesn't happen if I'm living in Atlanta.
Okay, that's what's up. Speaking of the symphony, and I've heard Kane tell his story before. Like when you showed up, him and G-Rap was kind of like, "Yo, we don't know about son."
Yeah,
but
yeah.
You spit your bars, and then they're like, "Yo, son is nice."
That means a lot though. From those guys, as good as they are, for them to, you know, to get that stamp of approval from guys like that rhyme like the way they rhyme, means something. And you know, it would have been cool to know that they felt like that back then. I didn't find that out until now, current times. I never knew the backstory.
Never been told back in the day.
No, I never knew.
Like
I never knew. I never knew any of that until recently.
Wow.
Yep. And I think maybe he didn't want to tell me because he thought I might have felt away. Like, well, y'all thought I was whack. Y'all ain't even hear me rhyme. Y'all thought I was whack. Like, but I wouldn't have felt no way. They didn't know who I was. You know, I'm a new guy. Kane met me that day. The same day we did the symphony was the first day he met me. So
y'all didn't know each other at all before?
No, I met Kane the day we did the song.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
Happy born day to Kane.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, today. So we really got this where Brooklyn that thing like all the way around.
Shout out to OC.
Yeah.
Shout out to OC.
He gave his apologies. Wherever he is, his signal was real bad, so that's how he kept cutting out.
Yeah.
And he wanted to apologize and send his love and appreciation for being able to come through. We're gonna get him back on his schedule. So I know he was real apologetic about it. You know, he was real thorough dude.
Yeah, so be like that sometimes.
Crooklyn Dodgers, if we could take a moment for that, since we just in this space, you know, so New York. Juice Crew was a crew, but not a group. Crooklyn Dodgers was like another super group that was a super group that gave birth to a super group. And y'all teased us real great. You understand what I'm saying? Y'all teased us real great, and then everybody was like, boom, went about their business. You see what I'm saying? What was that adaptation like for you? You know, whether you're looking back on it now or then, you know, Crooklyn Dodgers impact in the game together in that blood sport where everybody was so hungry. You and everybody. You see what I'm saying? Like, what did that feel like?
I mean, Crooklyn Dodgers came at a very pivotal time in my career because Born to Roll was all over the radio. It was blowing up everywhere except New York. The sentiment about me in New York was that I had sold out to the West Coast. That was the word on the street, that I had quote unquote gone West Coast. Yo, he went West Coast. I would be downtown Brooklyn shopping for sneakers, and I see somebody I know, and they'd be like, "Yo, how long you out here?" Like, what you talking about? I live out here.
Wow.
Oh, I thought you moved to LA. Nah, what you talking about? What man? I shot a video out there. That's all. I shot a couple videos out there. That's all. So there was just an overall sentiment in New York that I had kind of switched sides, because you got to understand that at this time it was very much this East-West rivalry going on. It was going super strong, and you had to pick a side, and they thought I had picked a side, and I thought I had kind of abandoned my home. And so Crooklyn Dodgers was just the perfect timing for me. I needed that song to happen when it happened, just to remind people where I was from, and just so happened to be about the borough. So all of it worked out for me, and I appreciate Q-Tip for making the phone call to ask me to be on the song. I appreciate Spike Lee for agreeing to let me be one of the MCs to be on that song, to represent his movie. And that's pretty much my feelings on that record.
Now, I've heard that you've written screenplays, that you've written a musical. How different is that process than putting together an album?
Oh, it's absolutely completely different. The musical is still being worked on. I actually should have spent quality hours today working on it, but I BS'd around and did other stuff, and because when I start to work on it, you actually have to submerge yourself into that world in order to write about it. You got to be in it, which means no distractions, no TV, no cell phone, no nothing. You have to be in that world, because it's a different world than this world. So I gotta be in the right mindset to step into the musical and be in that world, because I know I'm going to be in that world for an hour, for 2 hours, for 3 hours working on it. And so it could be exhausting. And all it takes is for your wife to call you and say, "Oh, can you take the garbage out? They're coming tomorrow." and you go and do that, and then your daughter says, "It's a spider in my room. Come get it." And then you're like, "You know what, man? I don't feel like going back in that world right now. I'm gonna leave it till tomorrow." So the process is different. Writing the songs is different, because I've learned, because I'm not a theater guy, but I've learned now that the music has to continue to tell and push the story forward. You can't. It's not like when you rapping on a rap album. If the song is about my Adidas, like Run DMC, right?
Right.
You just come up with as many lines as you can about your sneakers. In a musical, there has to be. It can't just be about a thing and you just talk about that for 3 verses. You have to tell the audience what the song is supposed to be about, what's going to happen next, where the story is headed, what the character is about to do, and all that has to be in the lyrics. And so it took a while for me to kind of get used to writing a song that way. I've been working on it for it's been about 3 years. The 2020 I focused only on the music, and now we're back to retouching the script, getting the storyline kind of refined. But we had a table read in March 2020. We had some actors come in and just read through the script so we could hear it for the first time, and it was just kind of wild hearing actors, even though they're sitting down reading off the paper. It's just kind of wild hearing words that you wrote, dialogue that you wrote being spoken by trained professional actors. It just gives it a different a different feel. So we got a ways to go because I had to do a major change in the last 3 months. I had to change a pretty significant part of the story for the main character. So when you go into a major change like that, you got to go backwards now and make sure that everything matches, because you can't have something happen at the end and it doesn't connect to what was said at the beginning. So
Right.
that process, all of this is it's all a learning process for me. But I am working on that musical. The goal was to be at a point at the end of this year so that we can have like another virtual table read, but a little bit more serious one where each character there's a person playing each character. The last time we only had about 7 people, and there's like 12 characters or something like that. So some people were doing 2 different characters, but the next one by the end of this year, if it works out, we'll have like a real thorough one with 11 people, the exact same amount of people that's in the musical, reading the parts, and we'll do it virtually and see how that goes. I got ways to go though. I still got a ways to go because now that I've made the plot changes, now I got to make sure that the music matches the new plot.
Exactly.
It's a lot of work.
So do you have a time frame for this, or do you like next couple of years you want to have it out there and visible, or like what's the timeline on that?
Well, like I said, I can't tell you about when it would quote unquote be out, because the theater world is different than the music world. It's not just finished and you come up with artwork and you just drop it. Like there's a whole bunch of steps before people ever even see your stuff. There's a bunch of I guess fundraising kind of reads where you actually have actors come in. There's potential investors that sit in the room and listen to the entire musical in front of them. This is without costumes. This is just reading the paper, but the investors come into the room and they listen. And so you have to find funding. That's just a whole nother step. And theater is super expensive. To do a Broadway musical is like on the low end, from what I'm told, on the low end is about $10 million.
Shit. Oh.
That's on the low end for a Broadway musical. So what I'm trying to do wouldn't be a Broadway production. It would be there's off Broadway and then there's off Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm really leaving it up to the experts because I have people. There's a company called Rhymes Over Beats. They're a hip hop theater company, and they're the ones who are really showing me the ropes and walking me through it. But I'm going to leave that up. Those decisions are up to them. They'll know best because they know that world. I don't know that world. So we'll see what it ends up being. But I got to get it completely written and refined first before we start talking about the rest of it.
All right. So, yo, can we get some of your history as a graffiti artist? Like, you were multifaceted all the way through this hip hop thing, you know what I'm saying? And do you still dabble in the visual arts as well?
I wouldn't call myself a graffiti artist. I would say I'm a graffiti writer or a bomber, because the dudes who are the true artists, I can't do it. I never was able to do what they do. I can, I went out, I've bombed, I've done throw ups and tags and stuff like that. And I've done a couple of pieces, but the pieces that I did, the few pieces that I did in my short-lived career, I had help because I didn't really, my hand wasn't steady yet. I was still learning. Like I picked it up late. Like I was into graph when I was in high school. Like I loved it. I followed it. I had little piece books and stuff like that, but I never went out to piece, or I was never in the train yards and none of that stuff. I was a good kid, I had to be in at a certain time. I wasn't out there at 1, 2 in the morning walking through the train yards with the rats and the junk. My grandmother wouldn't and I wasn't the one to worry her like that. Like I wasn't like a defiant kid where I'm gonna sneak out the house and go to train y'all with these dudes. I wasn't that kid. So, but like I said, I definitely was a writer, and I definitely was a bomber. But because I discovered it so late in my career, I already had records out when I started really trying to heavy bomb. Like I was going around New York, Bronx, Queens, Brooklyn. I'm walking around with a knapsack with spray paint in it. I'm 24 years old. Like, what am I doing? Like, I got records out. I got videos out. Like, and then they're telling me about this Vandal Squad. And the Vandal Squad, they are undercover police officers that pretend that they're graph artists, and they get to know who people are. I said, I'm going to jail. I got to chill. And I said, you know what? I did a couple of, nice little bombing missions early on in my 20s. And then I said, I got to chill. If it's not a permission thing where like, yo, you can do something on our wall, like I'm not doing it. So I stopped. I had a little short run. Like I said, I was running with HR, Hard Rocks out of the Bronx, Louis 167, Rule, Trap. They took me out for a couple bombing missions in the BX just to get my fix. And so, I had some fun with them a little bit, doing some bombing. But after that, it was just light stuff here and there. Nothing too serious.
No, my bad knowledge. Once again, go ahead, cuz.
Hey, look, let me tell you something. I'm in the zone over here. You see what I'm saying? I'm in the zone over here. Right after this, we got the 6-year anniversary. So to say that we got a chance to sit with Masta Ace not once but twice, on the platform and hear his story in his own words, not something I read or something you hear from a third party. It's prolific. This is a place where your story can get told, where it can be shared. Everybody's saying giving flowers now, like that's a thing to say. I want to hear your story. I'm a nerd like that. I want to know the story behind the story. This is the reason for the platform. And the closest we ever got to your story is whatever you did in the magazine or whatever you wrote on your tape. You see what I'm saying? When the tapes came out, like I was going back to look at the CD fold out or the tape fold out to see who you think. You see what I'm saying? Like that was as close as we could get to the story, unless we got it from VJ Rahman Games. You see what I'm saying? So these are all precious moments to be able to hear from you, and this is the intent of the program. This is the intent of this series. That's why I got Killer with me. You see what I'm saying? Like we hear, and we can get hip hop legends from hip hop legends. You see what I'm saying? So there are legends that are there that we can put to bed. So it's a double entendre. It's legends. We're celebrating the legends, but also we're dispelling some stuff because I've been told stories that I found out wasn't true. They're like, "Who told you that shit?" I'm like, "Oh shit!" And I heard it from another MC. So I can't. No. I'm just saying, like in general, in regards to certain things. You see what I'm saying? Like, so it's always best to hear it from the people versus what you hear. Yeah, because there's a lot of stuff out there. I was in the middle of an interview and I asked the question about a certain instance. They was like, hell no, that shit ain't happened. Like, who told you that? And I'm like, I'm stuck because I can't say who told me because it's another MC. You see what I'm saying? Like, so I'm like, all right, well, that was some bullshit. You just keep on moving. So it's always great to be able to, pay homage. So I just wanted to ask, before we wrap up, in regards to balance, self-care, and health, just looking back at the historical hip hop landscape. Hip hop is young, but the people in hip hop are expiring at a very fast rate. You see what I'm saying? So, self care, balance, black men's health, things like that. Parenting. If you wanted to take some time to kind of, go into that and give some jewels to some people that might be listening.
I mean, for those that follow me on IG, I've I've been pretty transparent about my journey in terms of health and fitness and trying to keep my body strong physically. Um, my diagnosis in 2000 of MS was the thing that got me on that path to try to basically extend my quality of life for as long as I could. So, you know, I changed my diet. I changed the way that I exercise. I just became super active, and all of those things have helped me to flourish as far as long as I have, because it's 21 years almost that since that diagnosis. So I just try to live by example, lead by example. Hope that there are people out there that watch what I do, watch the food that I post, the things that I try to share, and some of them get inspired by it. You know, I took up bike riding last year. I started riding bikes with a crew out in New Jersey, near where I live, and that's kind of been my new fitness, because the gyms haven't. My gym has never really officially reopened, and so I had to find some way to stay active, and so bike riding became the new thing. I'm getting up tomorrow, 6 a.m. I'm going 6 a.m. to do a bike ride, 40 miles, with a group of bikers. We're going all the way out to the Jersey Shore, the Sandy Hook, all the way out to the beach. And so it's like a 40-mile round trip. I've done this ride before, so I'm familiar with it. But it's 40 miles round trip, and those are just the ways that I try to push myself to be active, to stay active. You know, we can't just sit around. As we get older, you know, our bodies are going to definitely tell us that we need to be doing something, and if we don't, our bodies are going to tell us that we're making a mistake. And I can't tell. There's countless numbers of guys that I know that I'm close with, friends with, that have been either diagnosed with diabetes or pre-diabetic, and some of them take it seriously, some of them don't. Some of them still drink alcohol and eat sugar and do all the crazy stuff that they've been doing, and some take it seriously. And it's just and all the guys that they're almost all of them are younger than me too. That's the crazy part. Like younger and younger, we're seeing young men getting what I call old man's diseases. You know, strokes and heart attacks and diabetes and high blood pressure, and all of those things are killers. They're silent killers, and they're killers, and they catch up to you. So, like I say, there's no perfect answer. There's no magic bullet that's gonna make everything well and right. You know, but what we can do is give ourselves a fighting chance by trying to put the right foods in our bodies. I live by a plant-based diet now. It last going on 3 years plant-based. And it took me. I took steps to get here. I didn't just do it cold turkey. I didn't go from eating burgers and steaks to plant-based. I did it. I did it gradually. I cut one thing at a time out until I got to this point. And so, yeah, I just try to live and try to be the example for others, and hopefully they look at me and see that I'm doing well physically, and they'll take something from my example.
Now, something that I want to ask you about that, because one thing with a lot of people is changing your diet. And like you said, you didn't just jump from eating steaks to, you know what I'm saying, salads all day or nothing like that.
Right.
For you, what was the hardest part about changing your diet? Because people like what they like.
Probably the hardest part was because my wife, she cook her ass off, and she be cooking some stuff in here, be smelling incredible, and it's stuff that I don't eat. But I've developed a lot of discipline. Um, I don't know if you're familiar with the Master Cleanse. I did the master cleanse 3 times in my life, and this was like in the early 2000s. And when you're on the master cleanse, it's a 10-day, it's a 7 to 10-day cleanse where you don't actually eat any solid food for 7 to 10 days. All you have in your body, all you put in your body is this lemonade made from filtered water, lemons, and a little bit of maple syrup,
and
and some cayenne pepper.
cayenne pepper. Yeah.
And so you can drink as much of that during the day as you want, and water. And so doing those cleanses, the 3 times I did them, it taught me discipline. It taught me food discipline, to where I remember being on the master cleanse and my wife wanted to go to the street fair. We're out here in the street fair and I'm walking past people with shish kebab and corn on the cob and all this wild stuff, and I can't have none of it. And I wasn't like panicking. I was like, yo, it looked good, it smelled good. I wish I could have it, but I can't. But it taught me food discipline, and it allowed me to reset my palate as well. That reset is super important, because when you go back to eating food again, solid food again, it's the perfect time to cut out something, to say, all right, I'm gonna stop eating X, Y, or Z. Because when you come off not eating solid food for 10 days, everything tastes good.
Right.
Everything is great. Like you just happy to have anything. And you could literally go from eating no solid food for 10 days. You can go right into just being a vegetarian right away, and you won't even miss it, because you'll be so happy to be eating vegetables. Yeah.
Yeah, I was raised on that cleanse before they called it anything.
Okay.
my mother just said, "This is what you doing." You see what I'm saying? So, later on when we heard like Farrakhan and like Dick Gregory and certain people start talking about it and calling it a master cleanse, it's like, all right, that's what they call it now. So even the jug, like you get that jug, not the So yeah. So yeah, it was just reminiscent. It took me back, man, to my mother and us growing up. We were raised right. We chose to do wrong. You know what I'm saying? we were raised right. We just chose to do wrong. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lesson that's learned.
Food discipline. Food discipline is the key. Most don't have it. Most people are slaves to their taste buds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the nation was impactful for that. Go ahead, Phil.
Nah, but one thing I wanted to hit you with outside of hip hop, like you took time to be a football coach at one point in time.
Yeah, I coached for 11 years. 9 years in Brooklyn and 2 years in Jersey.
Really? So like you played ball in high school and all that, or
I played 4 years in high school, in Brooklyn, and then I had aspirations to play college. I really thought I was gonna play college football. That was the absolute plan. That's what was supposed to happen.
Wow. Okay.
I wound up not playing college ball, and that was pretty much the end of my football career. But I still had the desire to try to impact young people, and so I won't even say that I seeked it out. I feel like coaching kind of found me, and once you start, it's really difficult to stop. Like you just want to continue to mentor young people and send them on the right path. And I just try to give them the lessons that I learned when I was their age. And it's really less about football and more about life than anything else.
Right. That's dope. I wasn't sure if that was true or not, so I wanted to run that past you, but that's dope.
Absolutely it was. And I'm still in contact with a lot of the student athletes that I met during my 9 years in Brooklyn. Many of them still reach out to me on holidays and otherwise just reach out to me. One of them is my regular electrician now. Every time I have an issue in the house, he comes to the house and fixes what needs to be fixed. You know, it's amazing the relationships that I've made. You know, you meet these guys when they're 14. I met these guys when they're 14 years old, and now they're 32 and 33. Some of them are married with one kid, two kids, own homeowners. Like it's amazing, man. It's amazing.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
You know me with the coaching. with the coaching and the community, it never leaves you. You know, it never leaves you. I remember a young brother and some young sisters who taught me different things, and that was a spark in the community. You know, when you're young, you think everybody that's an adult is old, but they wasn't. You see what I'm saying? They were just older than you. You see what I'm saying? So they taught me some things about life and that zeal. So when the opportunity presented itself, ever since I was young, from around 15, you know, to give back. And, you know, the military provided another way to do it. So when my children, they were interested in sports, they didn't have a coach. I went from coaching grown kids, you know, in their 30s and 40s and 50s to, you know, 5 and 6 year olds and every age range in between with basketball. And one thing that I've discovered, whether they're 60 or they're 5, they're the same age on the basketball court.
That's right.
The same age. Everybody's a child. You understand? Why you ain't passing me the ball? And blah, blah, blah. Like, come on, man. Like, really? You 60, sir, grandpa. You understand, Papa? Like, I need you to focus. You know, so like getting out there and getting active and making an impact, and you know, changing the mindsets. You know, many of our youth have never seen black men interact with them in a positive fashion. You see what I'm saying? It changes that dynamic changes everything, you know, and
that's a fact.
Getting young black people to be able to socialize with each other that's not violent. You know, that's another dynamic. You know, so the exercise and all that, and then the parents come to you like, my son is cleaning up around the house now, like, you know, like he. Like, what did you say? Like, what did you do to him? Like, he's running around now. He's not walking. Like that kind of mind frame of being active, you know, activating him. I can't get him to do anything. Like, he never ran in his life. He's running around here this whole entire practice. Like, you have to create an environment that fosters these ideas and get them to see what's in themselves. You see what I'm saying? So,
absolutely.
For us, it was music. So you coached us through some shit, like I just told you, like a crazy ass, tumultuous, traumatized experience in my life. You know, I could go back to the music, and the music, you know, would coach me through losing people. You see what I'm saying? Like in situations, you find pieces of people somewhere. If you found a piece of them, you know what I mean? Like we were there, so the music helped us to find our way back through and quiet the noise that war brings. You see what I'm saying? So
yeah,
it's
I can't imagine, man.
Crazy perspective, you know, but it's there, you know. I know we done stole a lot of your time, but we very, very thankful, you know, Killer and myself for you coming through and sharing some time with us. You see what I'm saying? Authentically, out of space of love and respect. Is there anything you want to touch on before we depart?
Nah, man. Appreciate y'all having me on, and good conversation. Like I say, I'm my alarm is set for 6 a.m. I'm doing this bike ride in the morning. Shout out to my bike crew, Trendsetters Bike Crew, out of New Jersey, and look out for that musical. Rhymes Over Beats is the theater company that's going to be putting it out. And look out for the new album with me and Marco Polo. I'm going to start working on it. I've been working on it already, but we're going to be putting that down pretty soon too. So a lot of things on the horizon.
The dynamic duo.
For
Y'all
sure.
link back Y'all linked back in like 04, right? Right before
I met him right around 04. That's when I met him.
while you
Yep.
was doing Long Hot Summer.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
He wound up producing one of the joints.
Which joint did he do?
He did Do It Man with Noid.
Oh shit. He did that?
Yeah.
He's responsible for that right there. So them shots, give me what you got. Oh, yeah. This is how we do it, man. Yeah, that's nuts.
Hey, yo, to have the opportunity to sit down with a legend like yourself, this was a special moment for me. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate you taking this time out to spend with us. You know what I'm saying? You've been an inspiration to some of us. Like, I was never a rapper, but I used to listen to your stuff, and I can't lie, I stole some things from you. You know what I'm saying? Things that are not.
That's all right.
The mentality towards things, the delivery towards things, being not necessarily in the box, being out of the box when it's time to be that. You know what I'm saying? There's definitely things that I took into my little hip hop career, you know what I'm saying, that came from people just like you. And to be able to speak to you, this is like a monumental moment in my life. You know what I'm saying? So
just so you know, all those messages were free. So you can't steal something that's free.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Definitely.
Appreciate y'all, man.
Definitely.
Love and honor to you. Love and honor to you and your family. You know.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Masta Ace.
Oh.
Look at Killer, man. Killer, I'm proud of you, man. You understand what I'm saying? I'm proud of you, man.
I don't know why, like, it's what we do, but I mean, that was dope. That was a for real thing for me. Like, that's my man's favorite MC of all time, but like, yo, Masta Ace was super dope to me, like, my whole life. And OC, I can't wait till he comes back because I wanted him to be a part of. I had a whole look. Check this out, guys. This was the Masta Ace page. This was the OC page. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
plus
we're gonna get that
albums. I had all his albums written down too.
Yeah.
I was
We're gonna have time. We're gonna have time with OC. You see what I'm saying? The same time we have Masta Ace. You see what I'm saying? So it was, the thing with the signal, like he even called me. So I know he real apologetic. You see what I mean? He definitely didn't want to miss this opportunity having these two together. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
Right.
got 17 minutes before I do my 6-year anniversary show. Normally I do it in the daytime over on the weekend in the middle of the afternoon, but I'm like, fuck it. You see what I'm saying? Fuck it. Like, it was too high. Like, the wave was too high today. You see what I'm saying? Let me just put this up. Like, let me just put this thing up one more time because this was crazy. I'm telling you. Like, when I saw this flyer come together, I was like, yo. You see what I'm saying? Yo, I had to put this together. Like, you got OC and Masta Ace on the joint. You got the Brooklyn Bridge. You see what I'm saying? You got the disposable arch joint in the background. You got OC catalog right here. You know what I mean? Then we got the team, man. We got the triangle offense right here. You see what I'm saying? I ain't no Lakers fan or no Bulls fan by no stretch of the imagination, but this is what it looked like, man. You know what I'm saying? The triangle offense, the big three, man. Like, it looked crazy. You see what I'm saying? Working together in that dynamic, man. I love it. So that's today. Look at Sunday, man.
Huh?
Look at Sunday.
Huh?
You know what I'm saying? How you spending your Sunday? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is how we spending our Sunday. You know what I'm saying? This is how we spend our Friday. This is how we spending Sunday right here.
There you go.
6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Rusty, Mother, and Jugs, and Ella G. You understand? You see Ella G with Sean P right there. You see what I'm saying? That's a crazy story. Rusty, we know Rusty because of Sean Price. You see what I'm saying? As an MC. So
killing them with them freestyles. Boy, he be dropping them freestyles like every 30 minutes.
Yes. Yes, man. So we get into the mind of LG, the mind of Rusty Jux, you know, Crown Heights, Crime Heights. You know what I'm saying? Like we're gonna get into them intricacies, man. We were saying, you know, Brownsville today and a little bit of Bushwick. You see what I'm saying? So we gotta get to, you know, what it is.
For sure.
And, you know, after that, it's gonna be something next, man. Something crazy. You know, if I get a chance to pull this off, what I'm working over here, it's gonna be BK and QB together at the same damn time. Okay.
Oh shit.
Okay.
So
Brownsville meets Queensbridge.
Ooh. Ooh.
So working it out. So yeah, this
knowledge
is the 6th year.
Looking up that ill shit for your taste bud.
That's it. You know what I'm saying? So this is it. This is what's going down in 14 minutes right here. These just some of the guests out of over 2,400 episodes we done had. So we're about 60 or so away from 2,500. So the 2,500 episode show is coming. That's the next celebration after this. You know, the 6-year anniversary was actually in Black August on the 29th. You know, I wanted to do this today. And, you know, just looking through the roster right here. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Bill Duke, Tracy Lee, Fredro Starr, Lord Jamar, Wise Intelligent, Sadat X, Ali Vegas, Ali Sadiq, Don Faquan, Zira and J Horn, Sophia Stewart from The Matrix, Zane the author, you know, Bernadette Price, you know, we did that together a couple times, Killer. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Shout out to Bernadette. That's a homie.
My brother Abyss, my brother Jay Ivy. You know, y'all heard him on Kanye's first album, Never Let You Down, Chicago Red Storm, and my sister Georgia and me. All these folks was on that poetry jam. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's just a few people that have been through this platform right here. You know, do the Knowledge Radio. You know, this is, you know, for me, it's nostalgic. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
And,
see, and they don't know Knowledge is a superstar out here. I'm just some guy, you know, but Knowledge is like, he's that guy.
One of the awards, okay?
War winning. I ain't got no awards. Look at this guy over here.
Series of the year right here. You know?
Yo, you earned that, man. You earned that, cuz. That's what's up.
The other one, I don't know where it's at. It's somewhere, but this is the most
he doesn't know where he puts him, you know?
Recent award. Like, yeah, this mean everything, you know?
So, congratulations, cuz.
This dude is famous. Whoever this dude is, he's famous. Me? I'm just here. This dude?
Nah.
This dude is famous. Let me tell you something real quick, Killer, because I know I gotta go and I don't want to start talking to you. But this dude right here, this picture, been on so much shit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? This dude was on a picture to speak in South Africa with no permission from this dude right here at all. Like, I got phone calls on behalf of this dude right here. It was like, yo, you gonna be in South Africa? I'm like,
for real?
what?
Wow.
I wouldn't have had no problem with going to South Africa. You understand what I'm saying? But, you know, it'd been nice to know. Ask for my permission. Take my likeness and just put it on a photo. Say I'm gonna be in South Africa to get some people to come out to South Africa. I'm like, oh, but that dude is serious. This dude right here, this dude is hard working, man. This dude done sacrificed a lot, you know. All right, cool. Yeah, he done sacrificed a lot. All early night, early mornings, late nights, all that. He done did a lot. So I got 10 minutes and I'll be able to go through some of this stuff. So y'all come through, check us out, man.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check it out. For sure, for sure.
Word.
Hopefully, Rome will show up next time. Cousin, Rome. Fuck.
And man, at work, man, you know what I'm saying? OC said, I'm an iron worker now. You know what I'm saying? Like, Rome out there getting his Otis on. He out there getting that Otis on. You want to hit Otis, huh? Every time you sing Otis, he was in that uniform. You understand what I'm saying? I Rome out there, you want to hit Otis, huh? Yeah. But what you got, Kevin, before we get up out of here?
Hey, man, shout out to Masta Ace, man. It was a great conversation, like I said, to be able to speak to a legend like him, to be even the little time we had OC, man. I'm glad he showed up, you know. I'm glad that he was here, and we'll go more in depth, you know, next time. Shout out to Knowledge Born and his celebration tonight. Award-winning show of the year over here, you know, and I'm just glad that I get to show my ugly mother around this boy from time to time. You know what I'm saying? He's always held me down, always kept me in the mix. You know what I'm saying? That's my cousin, my brother right there. You know what I'm saying? For life.
Yeah.
But outside of that, man, I'm good. You know, as always, I'm good.
All right. So I'll see y'all in 9 minutes. Hopefully we start on time. Hopefully we start on time. Shit, hopefully we start on time.
Peace.
Peace, y'all.
Yeah. Now we gonna tell them that in front. We tell them like this, yo. I'm an African. I'm a African. I'm an African. I'm a African. Yeah, y'all like that? No more. This man's mind is open. I'm an African. I'm a African. I'm an African. I'm a. Let's get back to the gritty.
Best developed by recognizing the common enemy.